All right, guys, welcome back. So last we were with you, the car we just dried. I completed the drying process with OG Drying Aid. The car actually feels really nice after the decon wash. So we are ready for the next step, which is going to be a clay bar or clay mitt. And I think what I'm going to do is I have a new Nano Skin Auto Scrub mitt. So I think I'm going to use that on the car. I want to give it a shot. I'll show you what that looks like. And I'll show you what product I'm using. Clay the car down, and then the next step would be to prep for polish. So let's get it going. So what I use as clay lube is I'm using this McKee's 37 N914 Wrenchless Wash, diluted 1:128, which this is a half gallon, I believe. So it'll make it'll make 2 of these with just 1 ounce, which is pretty good. I use distilled water. And I'll show you what that looks like. So it's McKee's N914 Wrenchless Wash. So this stuff's pretty awesome. Like 20 bucks. Got it from his Obsessed Garage just to support Matt. I mean, you can buy it on Amazon, but I bought it from there to support him. And it goes really far when it's diluted. And if you can see, it's even still pretty clear. So I put it in a chemical-sized bottle. I got these bottles off Amazon, which is cool. These have some measuring in here too, if you didn't have a way to measure it. Again, I mixed it just in the clay lube. I just bought these off Amazon as well, and some labels just so I could pre-mix and have it all ready to go. And then this is the Nano Scrub. You'll see there, or Nano Skin, I'm sorry. Auto Scrub pad with the hand mitt on it. So instead of using a clay bar, I like to use this. A little more expensive, but it'll last longer. You do way more cars, and this was about 50, 60 bucks, I think, together. But it covers a big area, so you could wear it, cover a big area, and do a good job. So that's what we're gonna do next. All right, so as you can see, I got my cart out. We're ready to clay. So I went remix. Went just make another batch and just filled up my bottle, because I use a lot of this. You can't use too much of it while you are doing clay or any kind of clay mitt. So I've got that. I've got this little cart that I use around for everything, and I just put Obsessed Garage sticker on it. But I think I got this at Target like 10 years ago for probably 30 bucks or something. Got my auto scrub pad, and I've got 3 towels just in case I need them all. So these are, they're kind of full of lint. These are Single Soft Adams white towels. These are just some that I've had for a long time. They're a little more plush, and they soak up the water pretty good and the clay lube pretty good. So we're gonna get started. I'm gonna start with the hood. I always just like to do the hood first. I'm gonna do the hood first. I'll do the roof and probably the trunk deck lid, and then I'll come around to the sides and work my way around the car. So I'll show you guys some of those pieces. Let's just see how this works. I'm gonna spray a lot of clay lube just in the whole section. It's okay if it's running off the car and dripping everywhere. I'm not too worried about that. I'm also gonna spray the mitt itself to prime it. See, it's pouring. So I want this really slick on the paint. Yeah, there we go. Good. And this should speed up the process versus the clay bar. I could hear it removing everything. So this should work pretty good. Not too worried if this kind of dries on the paint. Just like anything else, I'm doing some form of cross hatching motion. You can tell in here probably I'm spraying a lot of lube because I don't know, in my mind, you can't spray too much. You can spray too little, but you can't spray too much. You spray too little, you'll start marring up the paint. And don't do that on a black vehicle. It'll be tragic and look terrible. See, maybe one little piece I forgot. Tell you what, if this works well, this is way quicker than using a clay bar. Because they would do that hood in no time. It's not really drying on the paint. The temperature is good. Humidity is a little lower right now. Oh, and if you saw the piece with me drying the car and doing that, then you heard and me tell my BMW story and just what BMWs I've had, and I realized I completely forgot one, which my wife for a while. This was, oh man, which I can't remember exactly when we bought it, maybe end of 2020. We did buy a used M4 2016 with 30,000 miles that I later sold and made money as well. I think I bought it for 44,000, sold it for 46. So anytime you're able to own a car for a while and sell it for more than what you paid, to me coming out, that's just awesome, because never in history have I made money on cars. No one does. It's just the market. It's pretty crazy. All right, so I pretty much got all the clay lube soaked up. Feels like. So I always just kind of give it a little touch. Finger of it feels really smooth. You know, the paint really wasn't all that bad to start. I'm gonna move to the carbon roof. Like I said, we'll do that next. See that 2016 M4 that we had was Alpine white. From the whoever bought it, you know, it still had the original window sticker, and inside it showed all the options, and it was Alpine white. It had the factory carbon fiber package, which was, you know, rear diffuser, front splitters, mirrors. Even had a lot of carbon fiber on the interior around the DCT and, you know, all the dash. So it was really well spec car, new. So I thought we got a pretty good deal on it. Actually, thought it was a pretty good price at the time, and then selling it, ended up making some money on it. So I was pleased. It was a really fun car. Also had had BMW's titanium exhaust, the M Performance exhaust, which actually I did not love. It sounded a little, sound like a weed eater sometimes. Or when I call it a weed eater, trimmer, you know, string trimmer. I guess down here in the South, it's a weed eater because it eats some weeds. But actually, I kind of like the stock exhaust. I don't need any crazy exhaust on a car like this, or any 6-cylinder. Or maybe I just hadn't found the right one. Could be that too. Because that exhaust, I think, was a $4,000 or $5,000 option on that car, which, you know, to a dealer or someone, when you're getting rid of it, they really don't care about that. Unless it's the right buyer, that doesn't bring any extra value. But, you know, for me, I always like newer cars, the newer technology over older cars. And for me, this G80 right here, this M3, and just for what I like, you know, not everybody would say it, but it's the best M car ever made, in my opinion, that I've driven. Never driven an M2. I'm sure the M5 CS is ridiculous. But for what I like, for the size of the car, how nimble it is, the feel when I get behind the steering wheel, when I sit in the seat, it's my favorite of anything I've ever had. And I haven't even really got to drive it to its full potential, or even close yet. And as good as this car is, the all-wheel drive is better, and I can't wait to experience it. Especially this has the standard M seats, the competition seats, and the next car is gonna have the carbon bucket seats, which are gonna be ridiculous. Be absolutely ridiculous. This hood, not the hood. This roof looks awesome. So again, just keep your pad primed. Can't use too much of this. You can pick that up in the camera there. All right. So if you're watching the wash part of the video, I had done the windows already last weekend. That's the only reason I'm not doing that now. Again, because I coated those with a glass sealer from Adams, which is giving it some really good water beating. And it's smooth and it's done pretty well. I'm gonna switch over and use my seat now. So this is a seat from Harbor Freight. It was like 60 bucks. I just saw it one day and it looked too good to pass up for the price. And actually it's been pretty awesome for the price. I had a little cheap Amazon seat for a while before that, lasted me several years, and it was really small with no storage on the side, but the wheels were small on it. And my driveway here, whenever the house is 3.5 years old, whenever it was poured, somebody did a terrible job, because it's more like pea gravel versus smooth concrete. It's horrible. And it's rocks everywhere. The rocks are loose everywhere. And it absolutely chews up the wheels on these things. So there were much smaller wheels on the last one. And it was just worn out, completely worn out. So it was time for a new one at that point. I don't know how well this is going to work here, because let me pick it up. Yeah, I guess you can pick it up. Just because such a small area. Well, looks like it might be okay. I'll have to come back and touch up on the inside there later. So the only part I didn't do up here was on top yet, because I didn't catch that when I did the roof. Yeah, I think that worked pretty well. Make sure I dry it. Make sure it's all dry in there. Little slight bit of lint, not bad. And not too scratched up on the black paint. So, yeah, so let me get this top pillar across. I'll do that part. You know, I'm always worried about this black piano trim and marring it up, but it's hard to get that right on BMW. And I guess other cars have it too, but so I kind of use the body lines and splits to give me a start and finishing point. So I'm gonna use kind of the belt line here and where the trunk starts. I'll stop there and stop here, and I'll come back and wipe all the clay lube off. What's good about this N914 as well, because I see it misted all over the roof. It doesn't really spot or leave any residue. You know, like I've used Adam's detail spray a long time for clay barring, and it works well because it's a good lubricant, but it leaves more like a film all over the paint if you don't. You know, when you're using a lot of it and you don't wipe it off right away, this is much better. Much better. So I've used almost half of this bottle already. I tell you what, I just ordered these little chemical guys sprayers just off a whim, kind of just randomly ordered them on Amazon, and you know, they're pretty cheap, and they've been pretty awesome. They mist really well, and they feel pretty well spraying. So I'm gonna do this door all in one pass, and I think that's much quicker than using a clay bar. So this is my first towel, which is getting fairly saturated. That's okay. So this is working well. Nano Skin Auto Scrub Mitt. Again, what I need to do for you guys is put everything in the description, which is if you just want to check it out, what it's like, where it is, where do you buy it, how much it is. And you know, on my channel here, this is really not reviewing products. It's more just what I like. And if I have a good experience using it, I'm gonna let you know about it. If I have a bad experience, and it's not really a review, it's not to knock certain products, it's just I like using what I like, regardless of what it costs and what brand it is. And even though I do like being consistent in brands, you know, and I think that's why I had a lot of Adam's products over the years. I like having all Adams. You know, Obsessed Garage doesn't have all things branded for themselves, but they have a lot of good things. You know, I just like my I like my detail cabinet to have all the same size bottles and similar look sprayers and not have just a big collection of different things. Even though nobody sees it, you know, it's just what I like. So I'm definitely getting more heads turning and people liking the car versus the 2016 M4, my 2018 M3 Competition. I think it's the color. Number one, the color is different for an M car. Yeah, see this? This feels really nice. Color's different for an M car. The front grille, naturally, everybody's like, what is that? See, remember I got up above here earlier, so now I'm just doing the rest. So you hear that? So there's some PPF right here on this piece, so got to be careful there, and I don't need to be too rough on it. I'm not really a fan of PPF because I always want to touch my paint. I just like to. I'm not hating on PPF, again, it's just what I like. So that's why I'm going to ceramic coat. All right. Still got to do the back, the other side, front grille. So I want to show you guys real quick on over here. So this is where I store the pressure washer. So the shelf I have is simply just a mounted shelf from Home Depot, and I set the pressure washer up there. And then on the left-hand side here, I put the inlet hose and then the pressure washer hose, OG hose, next to it. So just for a uniform look. And then I have the gun, as you can see right there. Pressure washer gun and nozzle with a $5 fishing rod holder from Amazon. That's black, mounted to the wall. So versus the Mosmatic one that Matt sells on Obsessed Garage is about $100, $110, I think. And you know, just couldn't justify spending that, you know, for a simple setup. So so I just did this, and it worked out pretty good. All right, so car's fully clayed, completely wiped down. So the next step, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start taping off. I'm gonna tape off anything that has rubberized edges to it, anywhere, all in here on the door, just so that it doesn't, you know, that compounding polish will stain it and make it white. So I'm gonna completely tape off everything on the entire car, and then we'll be ready for machine polishing and paint correction. All right, so I got the car completely taped off. I just taped all the trim areas. So next step is going to be, we're going to start to polish. Trying to decide if I want to go with, so I'll show you some things I have. So I have this Adams compound. Oh, that's my doors. So I have this Adam compound, if you can see. That would be step one in paint correction, and then two would be the polish here. So I can do that, and I can do a two-step. So I have this Geon Q2 primer, which I could also use. If you can see, it might be a little dark. There we go. It's Q2 primer. Which this is like a medium cut, but a good finish. And it's a one-step. All right, so I decided to go with the Geon Q2 primer, only because this car really does not have a lot of swirls. The paint's actually in really good shape. You know, to someone who doesn't do this and doesn't care about auto detailing, they would think it's perfect as it is. But so I'm going to do this as a one-step. And then I'll wipe it down with the prep, with the surface prep, in preparation for ceramic coating. So I'll get my polishers out. So one new one that I'm eager to try is I have this Adams, if you can see, if I can get it to focus there. There we go. Adams SK Pro. mini, it's a little cordless swirl killer they have. It's pretty cool. So it's small, I can get in some tight spaces. So I'm going to use that. I also have, this is a corded Adams swirl killer Pro 3-inch. And then I have the 5-inch or 15 millimeter Adams. This is a cordless, and I have 4 batteries, so I should be able to get through it well. It takes at least a couple of batteries to get through the entire car. Okay, so just like on the clay process, I'm going to start hood first. I'll do the roof, do the trunk deck lid, and then I'll work my way around.